Are you ready for another stylish skirt Saturday? I am super excited, and this week I'm going to be drafting a Aline Wrap Skirt. Hi, I'm Christina, and I love to digitally apparel pattern, creating unique pieces of wearable art that I can wear and make me feel so fantastic. So I am super excited to be drafting this little A-line wrap skirt today. If you're interested in following along, I will have a link of where you can get a half scale pattern yourself so that you can start doing some of these manipulations and get used to digitally patterning in Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to bring up Illustrator right now, as well as my little half scale pattern that I have here. And the first thing I'm going to do, so we're just going to dive right on in. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to work on the back of the pattern first, because I want my skirt to wrap through the front. And I don't want the full front to wrap. I'm going to do like a 3/4 wrap on the front. So I'm going to start with my back piece. So I'm just going to move this over here. We're going to highlight, and we're going to reflect this guy right across that. Since I will be, we're not going to start by reflecting. We're going to start by actually making an A-line, and then I can reflect it. So the first thing I'm going to do, so we're going to draft a line down. We're going to move that just a little bit. There we go. And that one's right on the anchor point. Perfect. That one, for whatever reason, did not get right on that anchor point, but that's okay. It is connected to those. So on each one of those darts, we want to drop lines down because we're going to slash our pattern apart there and close the dart up top, spreading the pattern at the bottom, creating our A-line. So then the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to cut apart our pattern right there. Is that going to go on that? Nope, got it. Because then you can see I only have this part of the pattern and then this part of the pattern. I'm going to go ahead and copy, paste front so that I have doubles, so that when I don't want that to go, so that then when I actually rotate it closed on that point, closing that point, I have each one of those dart legs and I can see where it was. You don't have to do that. That's just something I kind of like to do. Now we're going to do the exact same thing on this one. We're going to cut apart at that point. Then we're going to highlight the pattern I want to cut the intersection, highlight what we want to rotate. We're going to rotate it in. Oh, so I forgot to do exactly what I told you I was doing in the first one. And this one so it's kind of good. You now see my first one has 2 dart legs, so you can see exactly how it's opening. My second one does not. I'm going to undo that, Control Z, my best friend, and we're going to do a copy, paste front right there. And then we're going to highlight everything. We're going to rotate it again. And it goes. There we go. We have the base outline for our back. So what I'm going to do is add another layer, lock that original layer. Make sure I'm on the 6. Yep, okay. And then we're going to pen around creating my skirt. Click. Straight there, and we're going to give that a nice little curve. And if you want to get a curve, all you have to do is click and hold. And then you got it just like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reflect it across so that I have that nice, beautiful A-line, and there's my back. Now, I can like fully pull it together and everything. When I actually cut this out, I will probably actually cut it out on the fold. So I don't actually need to fully unfold it. Sometimes it's nice to see it unfolded, so that you can kind of see what's going on. Just depends on what you like to do. It is totally up to you. So we're going to now move back to the front piece. So I'm going to unlock that original layer I was on, and I'm going to move him over just a little bit so as he slashes and spreads out, there is still room. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to drop a line straight down off of both of our darts. Looks like they both need to get moved over just a smidge. So I'm also using very thick lines so that it's a little bit easier for you guys to see the pickup on here. Normally when I use these type of lines, I don't use them nearly this thick. It makes it more exact, makes it a little bit easier, but I also find that when I'm recording, it makes it much easier for you guys to be able to see my lines and what I am doing. So now that I have those there, we're going to cut this pattern apart at our anchor point and at that intersection. So this time, it actually cut this line, which I didn't want it to do. So I'm going to Control Z that. We're going to select the pattern I want to be cutting, and then we're going to cut it again. And now we can see it actually cut the right pattern. Sometimes when you have stuff right on top of each other, if you haven't selected the line you're wanting to cut, it will cut the opposite line. No worries, you can just delete it, you can undo it, but if you want to make sure you are cutting the line you want to cut, make sure that you have selected it directly before you hit the C or the C tool. So just a little note. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do the copy, paste front. We're going to grab that and these other guys and rotate it closed. Doot, doot, doot. Boop. There we go. Now we're going to do the same thing here. So we're going to cut on that intersection and at that anchor point, highlight that guy. Before we do, don't want to forget what I forgot last time. Copy front, select it, grab that. I'm going to rotate right off there. Doot, doot, doot. Close it up. There we go. We now have our front ready. So I'm going to lock that base layer, and we're going to, I'm not on the right layer, get onto layer 6. Perfect. And we're going to trace. Click, 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 drag, click and drag. And you just want to get so that it's hitting those points. And I went up and curve it out. Now, again, if you don't re-click on this anchor point, you're kind of going off at that angle, and you don't want to be. So all you have to do to get rid of that is you click back on your anchor point, and you have a nice harsh line. And then click and drag to get a nice smooth line. That's just a little bit long. There we go. That looks better. Then we're going to reflect it across that center point. And if you wanted a full, so when I reflected it, I didn't hit my Alt. So let's try reflecting that again so it actually copies it. There we go. Now it's copied instead of just reflecting itself. Anyways, so if you wanted to have your full 2 fronts side to side, side seam to side seam, you could definitely leave it just like this. But the one thing that I definitely want on my pattern is I only want it to be like a 3/4 wrap overlapping. So they'll still have the center line, and it will be overlapping from here to, say, one of these pleats. And I'm actually going to use one of these pleats as a guideline for my 3/4, because probably being right in probably being right here is a little bit over my 3/4, and that's a little bit under my 3/4, but I kind of like that line right there. So what I'm going to do is I am actually going to use that as a guideline, and we're going to make a line. So I didn't quite get right at the intersection. Let's try that one more time. And again, I'm slightly off of it, so let's try one more time. And by one more time, I might mean a million more times. Nope, there we go. Got it. So now we're going to scroll down. Okay, well, I unclicked. So now we're just going to fix it. We know we're going off at the right angle. So now I'm just going to grab that, match up that angle, match up the two lines, all good. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut at that intersection and at that intersection. I am also, yes, that is the intersections I wanted to cut at. Because then we just want to move that guy out and away. Don't need him anymore. We're going to cut this guy apart. We're going to now select the other one and cut that one apart. Oops. Gotta select the one I want to cut. There it is. Select both those center lines. We're going to delete them. Now we're going to rejoin this pattern back together. You could go back up and retrace it onto another layer. I'm just going to go ahead and rejoin all those points that I just cut so that I have the lines that I want. And that is smooth. So I'm in A, and we're going to do the join tool. So it's Control-Shift-Alt-J. We want it smooth. We want that one, Control-Shift-Alt-J. And this one, Control-Shift-Alt-J. There we go. And now I have, before I actually do that, I want to mark my center front line. That's going to be very important so that I can know that I can match stuff up. So we're just going to give myself a nice little notch there. We're going to group them together so they stay together. And move that down. So I know this is my center front. This is my side seam. This is the other half of my wrap skirt. Oops. Then we're going to pull that down. I don't know why you popped out, but I don't need you out. So now I have them. They're kind of basic right now. I want to just throw in some labels and green lines, so that I noted what it is. Wrap skirt front. Then I'm going to go ahead and do, well, I'm going to do the same thing on the back. So we're going to go out. Don't know why you got switched. Gonna get this text over here. Wrap skirt. Back. Perfect. So then the last thing, I can just test this out, but if you wanted to create a waistband that was either exactly what it was, or if you wanted to make sure that you had all your points lining up, we'll actually do that real fast here. So I'm going to group, well, yeah, okay. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy these guys down so I can kind of cut them up, but so that I still have all my original patterns. So we're going to ungroup, and we're going to have to ungroup one more time because I grouped the little notch last. And then let's just ungroup this. Then we're going to cut apart the waist so that we can have all the numbers that we want. And I am going to intersect at that front so that my waistband will have a notch exactly where my center front will also be. And I'm going to move these guys down just a little bit more. So there's a couple different ways you can actually create a waistband. First thing that I'm going to actually do is I'm just going to click all of the lines that I want to measure, and I'm going to measure it right here. It is 7.889. So 7.89. I'm going to round up. Grab my calculator real fast. 7.89. Let's clear the calculator first. 7.89 times 2 is 15.7. So now we're going to make a waistband that is 15.78 by, well, I could do 2 inches and then it would just be a 1 inch fold over. Yeah, we're going to go 2 inches. There we go. So then the next thing you want to kind of figure out is how this is going to wrap around. So technically, if we started over here, we're, well, first thing before we do that, I'm just going to make a line right there. So my first notch is going to be whatever this length would be over to this very first center point right here. Because if you think about it, this is going to start by wrapping around here, then up around here, and it's going to move over to this part of the unfolded part of the fabric, or unfolded part of the skirt, go across there, then across this side of the skirt, and then it's going to go to the reverse section of this, to this side and back. So the first thing we're going to move this is 1.884. So I'm going to round that down. We're going to transform. We're going to move this. We're going to go horizontally 1.88. I'm going to go vertically 0. Double check that our angle is going the way we want it to go. And I'm going to hit OK this time so that I have a notch. Perfect. The next one I want to do is this one right here, which is 3.36. So I'm going to go 3.4. So then we're going to transform, we're going to move, and we're going to go 3.140, but this time we're going to hit copy. That way we have our original notch and our new side seam notch. Next we're going to do the center back, which is 2.868, so 2.87. We're going to move 2.87. We're going to copy it again, and since it's going to be the center back and we're going to just do that one again, we can just transform it again. Control D. Transform it over there. Then we're going to do this one again, which was 3.14. So transform, move, 3.14. Copy it. And then the last one should match this. You don't necessarily have to do it. I always like to double check that I didn't do anything crazy. That's 1.88. Transform, move, 1.88, copy, and it hits, bam, just like that. So now that waistband exactly equals where all our notches would be. It lines up and it exactly equals. Now that's fine if you want to just overlap and clip shut. What if you want it to actually tie so it's a little bit more free? All we would have to do is draft another rectangle, basically. Yeah, let's just do another 16 inches that way. Now, what you can do that on both sides, or this notch right here is our center back notch. So what I'm going to do with this center back notch is I'm actually just going to extend it straight up like so. And then we're going to cut this apart. Get these guys. I should have copied that, but I didn't. That's okay. And then we're going to join them back together. And then we have center back, side seam, center front edge. And then we can also change that so that we actually have that notch there. And you can actually create a new square, or I could just pop one right on top, like so, instead of having to cut and everything. Did that actually do what I wanted it to do? It did. Okay, yeah. Just wanting to double check. And because I moved that one by hand, they are not all lining up. There we go. Now they have lined up. And now we have, one more notation so that we have it. We want to make sure that we note this guy now needs to be cut on the fold, and it is the wrap skirt. Whoops, delete, not backslash, waistband. The other thing that I would also want to notate just in general, especially if I was not going to be putting this pattern together, is that this pattern, let's see, maybe I need a right pen. Yeah, center, is going to be folded on the half right there. So what I did is I actually made it 2 inches high so that when it folds down, it has front and back. So we're just going to make that a dashed line so that it signifies that is going to be on the fold. And then you can add your seam allowance here, you can add your seam allowance later. But there we have the base layout for our wrap skirt ready to go. I am super excited to get it printed out and try it on my half scale form so we can see what it looks like. I might make it in a cotton and a chiffon because it will definitely have 2 different movements if you do that. The fabric in skirts, well, the fabric in any choice of any garment is just as important as the pattern itself. And having one in cotton and one in chiffon you can see the difference in them. So yeah, I'll probably do that so you can kind of see the difference. So definitely check back soon so that you can see what this looks like on our half scale form. And if you enjoy this video, make sure that you like and subscribe so you can see other ways on how to digitally apparel pattern. I will see you in some of my other videos. Happy patterning!